Hi everybody, and welcome to week 2 of the new year. Yeah, week 2. So I was thinking, all right, what's the theme of today? What do I want to share? And I want to share something actually. I want to share a few things. One of the things I want to share about is this whole thing about New Year's resolutions. Yeah. So there's two very different camps on this. There's a lot of people who, particularly if you're getting some coaching done, it's like, all right, it's the new year. What's your goal? What are you going to do? Where are you at? Put down, do your new vision board. And that's, that's one way of thinking. And then there's a whole other way of thinking, which is like, stay away from them. New Year's resolutions are, going to be gone. I can't remember what it is, 6th or 12th of January. And it's just another way of beating yourself up. It's another way of making you feel bad about yourself. It's another way of, denting your self-esteem. So stay away from them. So it tends to be two very different kind of thought patterns are two very different roads, kind of like life on a lot of things. Yeah, very polar, different opposites. And I thought, well, I am going to share what I believe may be useful when you're watching this video, and that is that I am more of a New Year's person than a Christmas person. And again, I was thinking about doing this video before I did it, and over Christmas period, I was listening to Brené Brown. Some of you will know who Brené Brown is. If you don't, I would suggest that it's really good to get a hold of her TED Talk. And Brené Brown talks about vulnerability. And that's going to be one of my themes for this year, is actually allowing myself, I suppose, to be more vulnerable, to be okay with saying something. Because sometimes I'll say a lot, but there's lots of times I will hold something back because I'll be like, oh my God, I got TMI, too much information, or whoa, okay. And I'm going to do less of that this year. I'm actually just going to be, rawly honest, because that's who I am. And then if that's too much for somebody or they don't like it, that's okay too. It's no big deal. But when I was a kid for Christmas, and I've got many Christmas photographs that actually show this, I was sick most Christmases. I used to get a nosebleed, yeah, almost every Christmas. So there's photographs. I come from a big Irish family. There was 9 in my mum's family. So it was all aunts, uncles. Like Christmas night was a huge, we call in Ireland a hoolie in our house, yeah. And I was forever having nosebleeds and in bed sick. And it's kind of an interesting one because it's only in the last few months I was doing some inner healing work on myself, and it just came up. Sometimes things come up, and as you hear me talking about throughout this year, things come up for a reason. Sometimes memories come up because they actually want to be healed. And I thought, okay, that's a bit strange. And I have this particular image of, it's like, just being, everyone else enjoying themselves, and here am I bleeding. And then I realized, because I was doing some work at the subconscious level, we are really driven by our subconscious processes, that I was born in August. And for those of you who don't know me as well as others, I was adopted. And I reckon that Christmas would have been around the time when my birth mom found out that she was pregnant. And I thought that's kind of interesting, because I've never loved Christmas. And for years as a kid, literally, I would have really bad nosebleeds. Now, I know there's some people watching this video and think, you've lost me, crazy. Stop the video, press pause, and that's cool. That's totally your prerogative. But my point for sharing the story is that, we have everything that ever has happened to us, yeah, really lies at the level of our subconscious. And it's interesting how those things show themselves in our life afterwards. I mean, whatever it was, I got over my nosebleeds at Christmas, still didn't love Christmas. Probably, only more recently, having my own family, there actually started beginning to have a bit of a joy about it. So as regards New Year's resolutions, to do them, not to do them, you know what? My way of thinking is that you can actually begin a new process any day of the year. It doesn't have to be the 1st of January, right? It could be the 30th of December the following year. It doesn't matter. What actually counts is making a decision that you want to change something, that you want to do something different. And then doing something different, actually taking the action. That's what counts. It doesn't have to be, if it's like the 10th of January, you haven't missed the train that goes once a year and you've got to wait. That's absolute baloney and rubbish, You want to do it the 1st of January, do it the 1st of January. You want to do it the 7th of January, do it the 7th of January. Who cares? What counts is that I think this year is a really good year to become more aware of who we actually are. I think it was during the week I was on a call with my people who are doing Evolve Your Anxious Brain, the group, and I was talking about how we come from a place of our programming. And what I mean by that is I was sharing a story that my younger daughter, who has her first job now, she's working, she's doing some cleaning work, earning a decent bit of money. She's a 15-year-old and it's all good. But during a week or two ago, her boss contacted her. She wasn't meant to be rostered on, and her boss contacted her and he was like, oh, could you come in for this roster? And I was working that day, but she didn't even check with me. She was tired and she just said, no, can't make it. That was her answer. And when she came to me afterwards, she said, oh, my boss rang me. I said, oh, okay, yeah. She goes, yeah, I told him I couldn't make it. And I'm like, why didn't you ask me? Like, yeah, whole thing. And I realized that I actually wasn't answering her based on the mum I am today. I was answering her based on my programming that I had when I was a kid, which was you go to work if your leg's falling off because you just can't miss work. Again, almost I think it comes from this Irish mentality of, you've got to keep your job because if you don't have a job, literally, a few generations ago, we starved. So there's this whole, you get my drift? This is whole, sometimes we actually, well, not sometimes actually, nearly always, we go to a memory in the subconscious and sometimes we actually respond from there. I didn't give her the response as a mum. I gave her a response as a teenager of programming that I had received when I was younger. So the whole point of the story is that we all have programming. And it's what actually keeps us stuck. That's what it is. It actually keeps us stuck doing the same things or versions of the same things, even if it's with the same people or different people. But we get into this cycle of thinking, yeah? And to really change that, you need to go in and be able to reprogram your subconscious mind. You've got to be able to go in, you've got to give, it's like literally doing a cleanse. So throughout these videos this year, I will include at the bottom of each video an option for booking in a discovery call if you want to learn more, if you want to do more. It's one thing watching, it's one thing having all this knowledge, I think it's George Bryan's called shelf help. Oh, you're the most knowledgeable person in the world, but you're stuck in your head, yeah? And that's not a good space. So what you want to be able to do is actually think, all right, okay, this requires more. There's no point in knowing about it. I've actually got to do something different about it. So each week, there will be an option at the bottom of the email. Now, you could watch every video every week, never click on that link, and maybe make changes, maybe not make changes the whole year ahead. Because the question is not so much, some people ask the question, how much does it cost to get rid of anxiety? My thing to you is, how much does it cost to keep it? That's the real question. Anyway, on a positive note, moral of the story, we operate from the level of subconscious. You want to change your life, you got to learn to reprogram your subconscious. And you can change your life any day of the year, not just the 1st of January. Have an amazing week, and I look forward to seeing you next week. See you then. Bye-bye.